In the near future, Earth will be a perfect place, free of violence and with a clean environment. However, this is because aliens called souls have taken over humanity. They are parasites that move from planet to planet, invading the bodies of dominant species and eliminating the host's consciousness. The spirit can still access the host's memories and can be distinguished from normal humans by the silver rings on their eyes. There are some people who have not been caught yet and are hiding to survive. One of these rebels is Melanie, who tries to hide in a hotel but is unfortunately always found by a group of police-like spirits called the Seekers. Melanie takes a few hits and runs up to the next floor, where she jumps out the window and is seriously injured when she falls to the ground. The Seeker captures her and takes her to a medical facility, where all of Melanie's wounds are instantly healed with an alien spray. They then took the soul parasite from a capsule and inserted it into his body. When she woke up, her eyes had changed and the spirit inside her introduced itself as the Wanderer. For the remaining few hours, Wanderer is allowed to rest and get used to her new body, only to discover a voice in her head. It turns out that Melanie refuses to die in fights against control from Wanderer. Afterwards, researcher Blondie calls Wanderer to his office and asks him to access Melanie's memories so they can find out where the rebels are hiding. Wanderer does so and begins to explain Melanie's past. One day, when she was swimming with her brother Jamie, the Wanderer arrived. The two brothers still hide on the dock while inside the house. Their father erases himself to avoid becoming a spirit. Melanie tries to stop Wanderer from saying these things, but she is not strong enough. That night, Wanderer dreams of his host's memories. Melanie is raiding a house in search of food when she is suddenly attacked by the occupant Jared, who thinks she is a spirit. Soon, he realizes that she is human like him and kisses her passionately, but Melanie pushes him away and runs away. Jared pursues her, and after proving that he is human, he asks for a partnership. When Wanderer wakes up, she cannot forget the feeling of the kiss. She then draws a portrait of Jared until Melanie forces her to drop the pencil. The next day, Blondie finds the drawing and scolds Wanderer before asking for more information. Wanderer explains that Melanie and Jamie started living with Jared in the country. Melanie and Jared grow closer and eventually get together. Feeling their love makes Wanderer very confused, and Blondie has to remind her human that physical urges are also wrong. The flashback continues to show that one day, Jared saw searchers approaching, so they ran away in the hope of finding the rebels. During the trip, they stopped to rest at a hotel, where the searcher found Melanie. She acts as a distraction so the others can escape. Afterwards, Wanderer said that she could no longer see the memories and Blondie left, but there was a scene in her mind that she immediately drew. Melanie convinces her to tear the paper into pieces because showing the researchers this location would put her loved ones in danger. In the days that follow, Blondie continues to question Wanderer, who says nothing more because now that she feels Melanie's love, she wants to protect him. One afternoon, Blondie informed Wanderer that Jared had been sighted and that searchers would soon find him. Wanderer panics and tries to attack her, but Blondie quickly overpowers her and puts her to sleep with the spray. Later at the facility, Blondie and a doctor conclude that Melanie will not let the Wanderer take over and announce that they will transfer her to a more compliant host. Blondie plans to take Melanie back just to see her memories and leave the body afterwards. Wanderer gets the night off because the procedure is in the morning, and Melanie convinces her to escape. She taught her to use a chair to block the door and made her jump off the balcony and land in the pool. A researcher tries to stop Wanderer, but Melanie turns the jet towards him to put him to sleep. Next, Melanie wants to steal a car, but Wanderer knows she can just ask and say it's an emergency. A driver gave it to him without hesitation because these aliens usually do not commit crimes and trust each other blindly. In the building, Blondie and the doctor wrestle with the door and eventually break it down, but it's too late. They searched the room and found fragments of drawings on Vagabond's clothes. Throughout the trip, Melanie continues to share memories of her relationship with Jamie to distract Wanderer and force him to drive back to the rebel base. When Wanderer realized this, the two girls started fighting over the steering wheel and drove the car off the road. With no other choice, Wanderer lets Melanie lead her through the desert, making sure to walk on rocks to avoid leaving any traces. At the researcher's facility, Blondie collects drawings and finds location on digital map. She immediately left in her modern car and went to the place where the damaged car was, but she had no trace left to follow. She calls for reinforcements and sends them to search the area. Meanwhile, Wanderer continued walking through the desert with only a small bottle of water. Finally, the sunburn was too intense and he passed out under a tree. There she was found by Jeb, the leader of the rebels. When giving him the water, Wanderer said, "You found us," and the use of "we" caught Jeb's attention. At that time, other rebels also arrived, but they were not happy. Maggie slaps her while Ian and Kyle want to kill her because she is a parasite. However, Jeb stopped them with his gun and blindfolded Wanderer to take him with him. The group went into a secret cave in the mountain where the rebels had been hiding for a long time. Melanie's loved ones are there, but Jared immediately hits her. Maggie says Melanie should be under the same care as other parasites from their doctor, but a shocked Jamie disagrees. Wanderer is assigned a room and Jamie spies on him through a hole in the roof. Melanie asks Wanderer not to tell anyone about her voice because they will think she is lying. Jared kept the room because he knew the others would want to kill her. When they arrive, Jared begins fighting Kyle and Wanderer rushes to his defense, but they ignore him and continue fighting. Ian takes the opportunity to grab Wanderer and begins to strangle him, but at that moment Jeb appears and fires a warning shot, causing everyone to stop. He announces that the hallway leading to the tramp's room is now off limits and threatens to shoot anyone who tries again. Before leaving, Jared asks Jeb to keep Jamie away from her. Some time later, Ian, Jared, and Kyle notice searchers in the area. Eventually, the group gave up because there were no clues to follow, but Blondie refused to leave with. Just then, Jeb hears the helicopter and tells everyone to close their mirrors so they can't be seen, removing the reflection just in time. As the helicopter leaves, Jeb gives his gun to Jamie to feel safe hanging out with Wanderer, without telling him he kept the bullets. Jamie takes Wanderer to see a cave filled with fireflies and Melanie decides they should share the truth. Wanderer explains that Melanie is still alive inside her and Jamie, relieved, hugs her. Meanwhile, a group of people boarded a truck to look for supplies. They went to a supermarket and as they loaded their groceries into the truck, they were found by a researcher. Jared quickly knocked him out and put him in the truck before they left. The next morning, Gypsy was invited to harvest wheat. As she worked, she continued to exchange affectionate glances with Ian. Maggie refuses to give him water and Ian shares his. Wanderer gets all the attention even though Melanie reminds him that he tried to kill her. Suddenly, the sound of the helicopter returning surprised Jamie and injured him with a scythe. Everyone hastily closed their mirrors to avoid being discovered. The helicopter took off and noticed that one of the trucks on the road was going faster than expected. The guys in the truck opened fire and drove the helicopter away, but the searchers in the truck soon chased them. Soon, they find themselves surrounded with no way to escape, so the boys decide to crash the truck to avoid capture. In the other truck, Jared and Kyle were saddened to see their friends die, but they had to pretend to be spirits and move on. Researcher Blondie noticed the hesitation and informed her team. Soon, a seeker vehicle also began chasing them and Kyle opened fire in vain. Jared stopped the truck under the bridge and crashed it into him. He and Kyle then try to kidnap the driver, but just then Blondie arrives and starts shooting at them. The guys immediately escape in the truck and Blondie accidentally shoots Seeker's driver, killing him. The other researchers called her, telling her that she was losing control and that she must give up this futile pursuit. In the cave, the Wanderer shared stories about his people. They have conquered 12 planets with intelligent life and swear that they will always live in harmony with other species. She also reveals that she is over 1,000 years old. At this time, Jared and Kyle turned around and were angry to see Wanderer sitting at the same table. Jeb stops them from shooting and Ian explains that she is not a threat, but he is not heard. Jamie intervenes and eventually reveals that Melanie is still alive in there, but Jared refuses. Believe him and leave. Ian announces that Wanderer can stay in his room for safety reasons. That night, Jared dreams about his naughty moments with Melanie and decides to talk to her. Although he keeps saying that instead of she, Ian agrees to give them some time alone and Jared kisses Wanderer, which panics Melanie and forces Wanderer to push him away like their first time. Jared is excited because he sees this as proof that Melanie is still there and says he loves her. Terrified, the Wanderer ran away to hide near the riverbank. At that moment, Kyle came to pick her up, so she hid underwater. She waited for him to leave and tried to escape through another tunnel, but he waited for her and immediately attacked her. After much struggling, he tried to push her down the waterfall, but Wanderer hit him and knocked him down. Melanie wanted to let him die, but Wanderer grabbed her hand to prevent her from drowning. Just then, Ian and Jared arrive and help get him out of the water. The doctor then examined them both and Jeb demanded an explanation. Wanderer says it was an accident and Ian doesn't believe her, but since they have no evidence of an attack, Kyle can stay for now. Jared then tells Ian to stay away from Wanderer and leaves with Kyle on another supply mission. Later, Ian takes Wanderer out of the cave to enjoy the sunshine and admits that he likes him. Wanderer says she likes him too and Ian tries to kiss him, but Wanderer stops him because Melanie objects. Ian kept kissing him and Wanderer asked for time to think. Meanwhile, at the Seeker Center, Blondie continues to watch footage of the area and sees his hands shaking. She refused to admit that she was losing control when she heard a voice in her head. Sometime later, Wanderer notices that Jamie's wounds are not being properly cared for. She runs to the doctor and is horrified to discover that kidnapped researchers are being brought here so doctors can remove the parasites that kill them. After calling the monsters, she went into her room and cried. Days passed without Wanderer leaving his room or eating. Finally, Jeb came to her and pointed out that she could not expect humanity to surrender. The Wanderer wanted to leave, so he let her stay, Jeb promising not to take any more hostages. He also informed her that Jamie was very ill because his wound had become infected. Worried, Wanderer runs to Jamie as she tries to talk to Melanie, but the voice no longer responds. She lies to Jamie and says Melanie is fine, but then runs up to Ian and asks him to kiss her. Nothing in her tried to break the kiss, which confirmed that Melanie was gone. However, Ian refuses to believe him and instead asks Jared to kiss Wanderer. This causes Melanie to react and causes Gypsy to bite Jared to stop the kiss. Hearing about Jamie, Melanie agrees that they need to do something and Wanderer convinces Jared to take her into town. Outside the hospital, Jared's knife wounds Wanderer, and she uses it to make an appointment with a doctor. The advanced spray instantly heals all wounds, and while the doctor is distracted, Wanderer steals a series of spray bottles from his pocket. On her way out, she saw a soul capsule and took it. Nearby, a mysterious bicycle was preparing to follow them. The duo return to the cave and the spray instantly heals Jamie, who immediately feels better. The group trusts Wanderer more now and takes her to the next supply stop since she can legally get all the food through her eyes. A while later, when they return to the cave, they are shocked to see the guard dead on the ground. At that moment, Blondie appears because she is a biker. She prepares to shoot them, but Jeb appears and shoots her down first. Blondie was taken into the cave and treated with an aerosol, which left her very confused. Wanderer asked her a few questions and realized that the other researchers didn't know where she had gone, so they would be safe. After much thought, Wanderer talked to the doctor and told him that she could teach him how to remove the parasites without killing them if he promised not to kill them anymore, and he agreed. Blondie is then sedated and the doctor makes an incision, which Wanderer uses to teach humans how to carefully eliminate the alien by seducing it. The little alien is placed in the cocoon she stole and Blondie awakens as a human again, revealing her original name to be Lacey. Like Melanie, Lacey is also trapped inside her own head, causing Blondie to chase Wanderer to prevent more guests from becoming like her. Hours later, the group goes to town and Wanderer uses the laser system that capsules to Earth to return the Blondie parasite to space. When they return to the cave, Wanderer asks the doctor to remove her from Melanie's body and let her die. Not everyone agrees with this idea since they could also save the parasites, but Wanderer doesn't listen. Ian chases her and tells her he loves her, so Wanderer finally gives him a kiss as a goodbye. Sometime later, Wanderer wakes up and is shocked to see Melanie in front of him. The group brings a mirror and explains that they gave her the body of a brain-dead girl, so instead of taking her life, she brought her back to life. Now, Wanderer is able to start a new life with Ian with her new self named Wanda, while Melanie returns to Jared. Several months later, two couples are arriving in town and are stopped by a researcher. He immediately took off everyone's sunglasses to see that they were human and noticed Wanda's alien eyes, and asked if she was a prisoner. The others want her to lie to save herself, but Wanda says she is a friend to humans. This made the researcher smile. It turned out he was also working with a group of people searching for other survivors, and they invited couples to team up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.